white privilege exists in leisure services in the United States?
I'm Jacob.
I'm Berton, Barco.
I'm Iboo.
I'm Peterson.
Due to our research on this topic, we've come to the conclusion that white privilege exists in leisure services today.
Privilege exists in leisure services today and has for a long time in the United States. One example is Jackie Robinson in the 1940s was the first African American to play in the Major League Baseball. Because of how big social media plays a role in our lives today, everybody is much more aware of the discrimination problems in leisure services today.
Hope Solo, former USA women's soccer team goalie, earlier this year in June came out to the public and told the public that she believes that her family would not have been able to afford her playing soccer if she was playing soccer today at a younger age, because of the cost that it has on each family. It's around $5,000 per year to be on a travel soccer club, and in order to reach the next level, you would have to be on a travel soccer club team. And so that right there really discriminates against people who are very talented, but at the same time do not have the money to play, and so it gives them a disadvantage. Bill O'Reilly, former member of Fox News, does not believe that white privilege exists in the United States, and he uses the success of Asian Americans as justification.
After our research, we put together a list of facts that argue or back up our evidence. The first one being in 2014, 42% of students in high poverty school areas were black and only 7% were white. Then twice as likely to participate in a team sport was the family income, which is above $100,000 compared to a family with an annual income of under $25,000. Also, as we touched on earlier, Jackie Robinson was signed to a professional baseball team in 1945 from Branch Rickey, which broke the color barrier in all sports. And then our last one was the total percentage of sports played by minorities. 16% of boys and 15% of African American girls play youth sports. Only 15% men and 17% women athletes are Hispanic. And then lastly, 12% of boys and 8% of girls athletes were Asian.
Some examples of this will be shown in Philadelphia. There was an event that happened earlier this year in Starbucks where a manager called the police on two men who were just sitting in the store, and I guess they were not ordering anything, but they were probably just hanging out there. And Starbucks is seen as a place where people can hang out, study, and meet with friends casually. Another example would be in a minority neighborhood when a white woman was calling the police on African American people who were grilling in the park. And this is seen as something that is normal and casual, and most people do it. And she made it seem like they were doing something wrong when they were just doing something that most people do during this time of the year. And there's a current lawsuit going on right now between Asian Americans and Harvard University, as they feel that they're being discriminated against, as they are not being admitted the same way that a white student would be. And this is kind of giving them less opportunity to get into the school. And this is something that we deal with in this country, where kids are trying to get opportunities to get into these schools, but they're not getting the same opportunities as the white students may, and they believe that they're being discriminated against, and that is why this lawsuit is going on.
After all of our research, we came up with a couple recommendations. Our first one is for other organizations to do racial bias training, similar to what Starbucks did. So what Starbucks did is they did a 4-hour training program required of all employees, and the session was created by 30 experts in neuroscience, community leadership, and diversity. So what they did is they got into groups of 3 or 4, and they just discussed racial bias just in in the services they do at Starbucks. And our second recommendation is to help build police community relations. We've seen the examples with calling the police on the people grilling the park, examples like that. They didn't provide justification, so we want to, by building a relationship with the police and the community, it'll help people make better decisions on whether or not to call the police, and then for people to trust the police to make the correct decisions on certain instances like that.
Lastly, we'd like to leave you with a quote about white white privilege. Structural and governmentally perpetrated privilege in the United States that has been consciously given to the whites.
White privilege in America should not be a problem. We should be a part of the solution.